Okay, everybody. So, welcome back. I want to get you ready for part 2 of episode 15. In this, we're going to talk more about what your purpose actually is. And I would love for you to grab a piece of paper and kind of follow along with me because it takes some thought. And sometimes you're not going to be sure that you know exactly what that is right off the bat. So, without giving any more away in episode 2, get ready and we are going to start that. But before we do, please hit like and subscribe, and in the comments put down what your purpose was, or what you're willing to share, and what else you would like to hear as we move forward into the next season. So if there's some expert out there that I can get a hold of that you would want to hear from, great, let's do it. Otherwise, just keep feeding me comments so that I know I'm on track with giving you information that you can then use. So, episode 2, here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Aging is Direction. I'm Cathy Clements, your longevity strategist, and I'm so glad you're here. So, this is part 2 of purpose, community, and why longevity is more important than living longer. So what I want to start with is purpose is more than just a feeling. So as we finished part 1, I asked you to begin thinking about your purpose, not your schedule, right? Not your responsibilities, and not the list of things you want to do tomorrow or later today, but your purpose. And I think it's important. It's an important distinction because for most of our lives, we've been rewarded for productivity, right? That's how you get promoted at work, is how do you produce, how do you work within a group? How much can you accomplish, or how many hours can you work or are willing to work? How many people can you take care of? How much can you fit into one day? For many of us, our identity became wrapped up in that idea of what we did. Your career, your title became you. I'm a teacher. I'm a nurse. I'm an engineer. I'm in law enforcement. I'm raising children. I'm building a business. I'm caring for my parents. All of those roles, they matter. They shape us. But they're not the whole story, right? Your title or what you are doing does not define you, because eventually those roles again are going to change. Children become adults, careers come to an end, retirement arrives, businesses are sold, parents pass away, and life changes. And when those things change, many people quietly begin asking a question they never expected. If I'm no longer doing what I've always done, who am I? It's huge, right? That's not a sign that something's wrong, though. It's actually an invitation to discover your purpose. And that extends well beyond a job title. Purpose is good for your health, too. One of the things that fascinates me is that purpose isn't just good for our emotional well-being. It appears to be good for our physical health as well. Researchers have spent years studying what contributes to people living not only longer lives, but better lives. Again and again, purpose shows up in those conversations. People who wake up with a reason to engage in life often experience greater resilience. They recover from setbacks differently. They tend to remain socially connected, which is huge. They're more likely to stay active, and they're more likely to care for themselves. Think about all of that for a minute. When you have had something meaningful to get up for, getting out of bed feels different. when someone is counting on you, whether it's a spouse, a grandchild, a volunteer organization, a church, a classroom, or even a beloved pet. And boy, can they be irritating sometimes. You begin your days with intention, and purpose creates momentum, and momentum creates action. I can tell you, our pets have us trained. 6 a.m., they want to go for a walk. 6:30, 6:45, they want their breakfast. And then we're allowed to do what we want to do after the fact. But before that, they're getting us up at 5 as a minimum. And they have a schedule, and they've got us trained to be on their schedule. We might be irritated with them sometimes, but we love them, and they are a part of our purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be big. Sometimes when we hear the word purpose, we imagine it has to be something like extraordinary, starting a nonprofit or writing a best-selling book, changing the world somehow. Not now. If those are your dreams, that's awesome. I'm all behind that. Change the world for the better. Go for them. Go for all of that. But purpose doesn't have to be that grand to be meaningful. Sometimes purpose looks like becoming the grandparent who was always available to listen or babysit. Sometimes it's mentoring a younger coworker. Sometimes it's surviving a snowstorm and helping somebody else shovel out, or serving at your local food bank. Or sometimes it's checking on your neighbors who live alone, or having a cup of coffee with them in the morning because you know that neighbor hasn't spoken to anyone that particular day. Sometimes it's growing flowers that brighten someone else's day as they go by the front of your house. Sometimes it's the purpose is simply deciding, I want to become the healthiest version of myself so I can fully participate in life and live life with the people I love. Never underestimate the impact of ordinary faithfulness. Extraordinary lives are often built through ordinary moments repeated over many years. Retirement, oh, that's a hard one. It's never the finish line. I think we've been given an interesting picture on retirement. And I think that picture's changed, at least for me, from when I was in my 20s to now. Many advertisements show someone sitting on a beach with absolutely nothing to do. Okay. Or for about a week, or that sounds wonderful. I could do that. Never been to, well, I've been through Hawaii, but never stopped. So that's another place I'd like to go. Hike Diamond, isn't it Diamondback? That's the mountain that everybody hikes, and maybe sit on the beaches for a while. But you're right. After about a week, I'm done with just sitting there. Maybe 2 weeks. Okay, I give it 2 weeks. But after that, most people begin looking for something meaningful to do because being human, we're designed to contribute. We're designed to learn, to build, to create, to serve, and to connect. Retirement isn't about stopping. It's about redirecting. You finally have something many people have wished for throughout their careers. You have choice and time for the choice. You get to decide where your energy goes. You get to decide who receives your experiences, who you want to communicate with. You get to decide what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. And that's an incredible opportunity. Your experience has value. One thing I wish more people understood is this. I'll say it again. Your experience has tremendous value. Think about everything you've ever learned, the mistakes that you've made, the lessons you've earned, the challenges you've survived, the victories that you want to celebrate or you celebrated. You didn't accumulate those things just for yourself. Someone else needs to learn what you've learned. Maybe it's your children. Maybe it's someone who's just entering your profession or who's just come into your life, like a neighbor. Maybe it's a young parent trying to figure out life. Maybe it's someone facing a health challenge, something you've already navigated. Your wisdom has value. Don't underestimate it. Sometimes the greatest contributions we make aren't through our achievements. It's through our willingness to share what life has taught us. What are you building right now? I'd like to ask another question too. Not what do you build, but what are you building now? Because sometimes I think that something we accidentally begin living through or living in the past of, we tell our stories about what we used to do, where we used to work, what we accomplished years ago. Those stories matter. I'm not minimizing those. They're a part of us. But I also want you to think about the stories you're creating today. Maybe you're learning pickleball, or maybe you're taking a painting class or writing a family history. Maybe you're planting a garden or finally taking piano lessons, or like me, learning a new language. Maybe you're traveling somewhere you've always dreamt about. Maybe you're simply becoming the healthiest you've ever been. Life is still unfolding. There's still chapters left to write. This is kind of an aside, but I think if you're still here, there's something for you to do. And we don't always know the people that we are going to influence or the people that we are going to touch in a specific way with things that we say and ways that we help them. And in doing that, it's important to know if you're still here, there's something for you to do. So let's have a gift of curiosity. Let's be thinking, you don't have to decide a specific purpose, because what your purpose is may be not, it just kind of went out of my head, but it might not be something that you can just put a finger on right away. Maybe it's something that you have to realize later. So, one of my favorite qualities in people is curiosity. Curious people stay young in ways that have nothing to do with wrinkles. They ask a lot of questions. They explore. They wonder. They laugh. And they're willing to try, even if they think it might make them look silly. They don't assume they already know everything. I hope I never lose that. I hope I'm still asking questions when I'm in my 90s and beyond, because some of you already know. My goal is to be healthy into my hundreds. I want to be a centurion, only if I'm still providing something and I'm healthy. But I hope I'm still learning and still growing and saying, I never thought about it that way before, because that way I'm curious. And curiosity keeps life interesting. And interesting people they continue to grow. They don't shrivel up and get closed. So don't wait for someday. There's another trap that I think a lot of us fall into. We keep postponing joy. When I retire, when I lose the weight, when things slow down, when I have more money, when life becomes less busy. I think the first person that said that to me was, I think it was my father-in-law who said, you know, when it's the right time, there was like a right time. We had set our wedding date out a full year. And I think he's like, if it's right, it's right. Just do it. Why are you waiting a full year? That was like his whole philosophy. So why wait? When I have the money, when I have more money, or when life becomes less busy. Life is never going to become less busy because it's what you put into your life that keeps your life kind of moving along. And that's a problem. Life has a way of filling every empty space. If we aren't careful, someday keeps moving farther away. Now, I'm not suggesting you quit your job tomorrow and buy an RV. I'm suggesting you begin asking, what can I begin today? Maybe it's taking a short walk with your spouse, having a conversation. Maybe it's calling an old friend, or maybe it's signing up for a class that you've been thinking about taking and talking about for years. Small beginnings matter. I'd like to leave you with 3 questions as we close on part 2 and continue into part 3. What brings, and I'm going to put it in the first person, what brings me alive? Who benefits when I'm at my best? What kind of legacy am I building? Not someday, but today. Take your time with those questions. I'll tell them to you again. What brings me alive? Who benefits when I'm at my best? And what kind of legacy am I building today? So write those down if you need to, and talk about them with somebody that you trust, because the answers may become the roadmap for your second half. So in part 3, we're going to explore something that the researchers continue to tell us is one of the strongest predictors of both happiness and longevity: community, friendship, and belonging. We'll talk about why relationships matter so much and why loneliness can quietly affect our health, and how we can intentionally build the kind of connections that make life richer at every age. I'll see you in part 3.